Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And we have a playwright with us. And I've talked to a lot of playwrights, and they write about all different kinds of subjects. But this one, check out some of the things he's written about. First of all, he had a hit play that's been done so many places: Los Angeles, London, Australia, Argentina, Mexico, possibly even New Jersey. It's a play called Afterglow that was done a few years back, and it was all about a threesome. We'll talk about that because he's kind of in one, or has been in one, and then that'll be interesting. He's also written a film called Sabbath Queen, which involves a rabbi, and go figure, his brand new play is also not even Jewish adjacent. It is Jewish centered because the play is called The Zionists, a Family Storm, and it's going to be making its debut at Miami New Drama from April 9th through May 3rd. So go see it if you're down there. We're going to talk with ASHER GELMAN about his plays and, of course, about Jews and Zionism. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please welcome to the neighborhood, ASHER GELMAN. Shalom!
Shalom, shalom. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, the most important question that I have for you, first of all, more than anything else really, is that your name seems to technically be S. Asher Gelman. So what does the S stand for?
Yes, usually I make people guess, but this is a podcast. I'm just going to tell you. It's
Yes.
it's for Samuel.
Shmuel! So that's on your Jewish birth as your Shmuel, but you
hmm
took Asher as your name. Why?
It's my middle name, and I just liked it more.
Yeah, all right,
I
just
uh,
makes
I found that so I had a teen tour in Israel when I was 16 years old, and I had been visiting Israel a lot throughout my childhood, and I just found that I don't know, Asher just spoke to me in a way that Sam didn't. And so when I went off to college, I decided to start going by my middle name, Asher, and it stuck. And now, of course, when I tell people that my first name is Sam, that I went by that for the first 18 years of my life, um, it can be a bit confusing because I'm very much an Asher to those people, and certainly not a Sam. But
right.
yeah, it's
That's
a
okay. And
part of my history.
most people see that I'm very much an ash hole. So that works for both of us. But let me ask you, what are your earliest memories then of Eretz Israel, of the land of Israel?
Oh God, I mean, I've been going there since I was like I think 1 or 2 years old. So it's always been like a real constant presence in my life. I moved to Tel Aviv after I graduated from college in 2006, and I lived there for 10 years until moving to New York in 2016.
Did you serve in the IDF, in the
I
military?
did. I
What
did.
was that? We just had someone like a week or two or three ago on the show who was in the IDF. I
Mhm.
didn't see any action, or I think she slept with a few people, but did not see any action like boom boom. Did you?
No, I did a program called Shlav Bet, which is geared towards Olim of a certain age, and so I was with like um, a bunch of immigrants who were in their like around like 24, 25. The Shlav Bet, it's a 6 month program, so you spend the first 2 months in basic training, and then about a month or so in like training for whatever your specific role will be, and then the remainder in that actual role.
What
Uh,
was your role in the IDF?
so I did Binui construction. Um, I which sounds amazing, but I let's put it this way. I have lots of talents and skills, and none of them were utilized. I remember one day me and this other soldier who I was kind of like babysitting because we were both Americans, but I spoke much better Hebrew than he did. So we had these civilian workers who had just painted a room, um, and we were instructed to go into that room and wait, and then go get the civilian workers once there was time to apply a second coat. So I was quite literally asked to watch paint dry.
Well, Well, you know what? Some satyrs are like that too. So, to be
Exactly.
quite honest. All right, but thank God, I would rather do that than be under fire. Quite,
A
to be
hundred percent.
honest. Right.
A hundred
When
percent.
was when was the most recent time then that you were in Israel?
I was just there in May. My partner and my husband surprised me for my birthday with a trip. I hadn't been back since before October 7th, and it was very emotional for me. I remember I got to the airport. My partner Steph and I were in Milan, and he was taking me somewhere for my birthday for 5 days, and we got to the airport, and we got to, of course, to the place where it's either United or El Al. And then, of course, we turned right, and it was all writing in Hebrew. And then I just lost it. I just started crying, and of course, the woman who was receiving me, I was very emotional. I was like, "Yes, my bags have been with me the entire time. No, nobody asked me to bring anything. No, I'm crying because I didn't know I was coming here. It's been such a long time, but everything is fine. I really can't wait." And it was wonderful. They threw a surprise birthday for me there. All of my friends from Tel Aviv were there. It was wonderful, and I hope to be back soon. There's a bit of a war right now, which is making that a little bit
There
uncomfortable and
is.
a
Wait,
little
let me
bit
check my.
impossible. But
Hold
beyond
on.
that,
Yeah, there is. Wow.
I hope to be back very soon.
So what was it like aside from the friends and stuff and the party? What was Israel like in your last trip? Was everybody running around scared, or just life goes on as normal? Or did you hear sirens? All that sort of.
We had a siren the morning we were leaving. It was interesting because I am no stranger to sirens. But my partner had never been in one before, and there was a missile from the Houthis that was sent at 9:15 a.m., which I appreciate they at least let us sleep in. Um, but then the siren went off, and of course we're in a hotel, and he starts getting dressed, and I was like, no, 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 we don't have time for that. We need to throw on your bathrobe, and we need to get into the safe room. And then we get there, and he's like, I have to text my sister. And I was like, we're not going to do that either. We're just going to wait until this is over, and then you can text your sister and let her know that you were in a siren. And that was the
Why?
missile that hit the right next to the airport. So we actually drove by it. We saw the blast on our way to the airport, but we were flying halal, so our flight wasn't canceled.
So how come he couldn't? I am curious. Did they stop all text signals and
No, no, no.
things?
I told him not to
Why?
because she wouldn't understand. She has no frame of reference for that. It's not the same. If you
Yeah,
don't
but that
know
could have been his
Israel,
last. With all due respect, that could have been his last message. God forbid, to a family member. Or better that he didn't.
I wasn't worried.
Well, all right, good, and thank God nothing came of it. Now, you did mention, and I'm not going to let it because I alluded to this in the introduction, Asher,
Mhm,
that you went to Israel with your husband
mhm.
and your partner.
Correct.
Would you
Two,
care
two
to
separate people.
explain or sex playing or what? How does this all work here?
I mean, my husband Monty and I have been together for 17 years. I met him in Tel Aviv. We moved to New York together, and then about a little over 5 years ago, my partner Steph and I got involved romantically. He and I now work together. I'm the artistic director of our company, Midnight Theatricals, and he is the executive director. And the three of us, as my therapist says, three of us cohabitate across multiple properties in New York.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I still work my shul like I'm a gas station. So, but how did your husband feel when your partner was more of a
I
partner?
mean, it was all very like fluid and organic. Steph um, sort of fell into my life in a way that um, that just felt like very easy and natural. It wasn't this situation where I sort of just like came home one day and surprised my husband and I was like, oh, I have a boyfriend now. Like they my relationship with Steph became what it became because of how well he fit into my life already. And Steph and Mati have a beautiful relationship. All three of us are down in Miami together right now. We're all staying together. And yeah, I mean it's funny
Are
because
they both scouting for a quadruple, or you're fine with three? Three card Monty are good.
I'm tapped out at this point. Where yeah, this is enough.
Well, no, you did write a play. You wrote the play Afterglow, which
Yes.
is quite celebrating, has been done. Were there other places that I didn't mention, other countries where Afterglow was mounted, for pardon the expression?
I mean, yes, but it's hard to keep track at this point. So I should be so lucky.
So- but Afterglow was written about your situation or before the situation you end up
It
living
was
in.
about it was inspired by my sort of my first foray into I guess what I would consider consensual non-monogamy in 2014, shortly after my husband and I opened our relationship. I got involved with another man for a couple months, and I was so new to open relationships, polyamory, consensual non-monogamy, whatever you want to call it. I just really lacked the vocabulary and experience
I call
to
it free stooping, just in case you want to use that
okay.
one. Yeah, yeah.
I really just lacked the vocabulary and experience to navigate it appropriately and with with care. And yeah, ultimately, the experience nearly torpedoed my marriage. I'm grateful it didn't. I was able to get a great play out of it, though. So, take your broken heart and turn it into art.
So
And
I ask this of every playwright who writes a monologue or a play based on their experience. Was it cathartic to write the play or cathartic to see it done? Or was it just like your life was your life and you thought it would be cathartic to write it out, but it was just another thing that you did?
I mean, it's incredibly cathartic. For me, a lot of it, the reason I wrote it was that it was, at the time the most dramatic thing that had ever happened to me, and I still was really confused about what what I had done or how I could do it differently. So I was able to kind of play it out for myself on stage. I wrote it, I directed it, I choreographed it, and just being able to live in that world. And what's interesting is, now almost 10 years later, um, we just mounted our production in Australia. Um, you know, Coming at the themes of the play from different points of my life as I evolve, as my understanding of relationships and myself and how I can make sense of the world has shifted. And of course, the play is constantly getting updated because of that. If you have knowledge, my plays are never frozen. They're never finished. Well, I mean, they will be finished when I'm dead. But until then, there's always ways that you can make it, you can shift it, you can tweak it. Again, the more knowledge I get, and the fact that again, I am the writer, I do have ultimate control. Why not put that back into the thing itself and
Oh, so let's get specific. What is something that you tweaked for this most recent Australian mounting of the play Afterglow that you say, oh, I'm going to tweak this because.
Well, I think for me, there's a the play is about this married couple, Josh and Alex. They're expecting a baby, and they invite the younger Darius to join their bed for a night, and then a new intimate connection begins to form, and drama ensues. And for me, while Josh and Alex, the married couple, were very much based on me and Mati, respectively, the character Darius was very much an invention in that,
I thought it was based on me. I was so flattered. Damn it. All right, yeah.
next time. But for me, because the way that that experience went down for us in reality, it was very much the home wrecker trope. And I wasn't, it was somebody who was very interested in me and in what stealing a married man from his husband said about him. And I I wasn't interested in writing a villain, right? So for me, I flipped it and I made the character Darius the most ethical, the most considerate, the one who's really checking in the most. And because of that, the way I saw that character, and in no small part because of the way my relationship with Steph, uh, you know,
Evolved and yeah, yeah.
evolved. That gave me different insights into that character. So the way that character ends the play, there's always he has this small monologue, or as I like to call like a mini log. And for every production, I never felt like I quite got it right. Like it was always like, that's not quite it. Like I think, for the first one, it was about him deserving more. Um, this LA, it was about like family or being kept a secret. Sorry, about being kept a secret. London was about the idea of removal of family, and then Australia, it really was about this idea of like I need something different for me, and it has nothing to do with you. And who knows? Is that the final version? We'll see. We're mounting the 10-year anniversary production in New York next year
Oh,
at our new space in Chelsea, Midnight Theatricals. We have a space now. We got it about a year and a half ago.
it's you're not renting, it's your own
Yeah,
home. Where
we
is it? You said Chelsea? Where?
Chelsea. It's on 18th Street between 7th and 8th.
Oh my God, that's
So it's
fantastic.
like, yeah, it's like right in the heart. So we had this lovely contiguous space that was originally horse stables and then became parking lot. And then was William Wegman's photography studio, and now it's ours. So that's going to become our theater studio, where we develop and then present our work.
You should
And
still keep a what is it, a Labrador there.
always.
Just have it in the background, so yeah, yeah, yeah. You can still see one of the dogs.
And then we have
People like that.
our offices upstairs, and it's really wonderful to have a
Yeah.
creative space. The North Star for it is home, and this idea of home, and kind of removing the barrier between artist and administrator and allowing everybody to work together. Also for me, it's really important that it doesn't get too big. I like being able to know who all the people are in my space. Um, I think for me, so much of what I love about theater is the community that you create. But I think like theater can grow to a point where it's no longer about community, that then it just becomes cogs in a machine. And for me, I'm interested in the intimacy of it. For us, like even the space, right? It's not going to be an enormous off-Broadway theater. It's going to be about 140 seats. Like small,
That's off Broad. That's not off Broadway. That is. Are you going
that's
to be
off-Broadway.
equity off Broadway?
Yeah.
Wow, 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 So how are you going to have time to still write plays and create if you are the artistic director and therefore money getter and schmoozer and handler and etc. to run the thing?
Find the time. I just, I get inspired, and then I schedule reading. And then about 2 weeks before the reading, I start writing the thing. It's
Is that wait?
really,
So did you have a booking to do Zionists at New Drama before it was finished, or you sent them a script and you know?
no, it was already finished. I wrote the first draft in September 24. And then we were originally looking to put it up in a theater in New York, kind of as soon as possible because I was very impatient and I was like, this needs to go up now while it's still relevant. Um, Guess what? Still relevant, but now, like, a year and a half later, we have thrown so much development at this thing. We've had 3 2-week workshops. Plus, I've done a lot of individual development with our director, Chloe Treat, who came aboard the project in October 24. So like right after I wrote it, and she's phenomenal. We have the most wonderful working relationship. It's very like mom and dad energy. And I'm just really grateful that she's been part of the project. We've been circling each other for years to find a project to work on together, and I'm really glad it was this one.
So once this is a full staging, this is not a reading. This is an actual
Full
right.
fucking
So if it
production.
goes well, is your space in New York and Chelsea the next home
No,
for?
this show is too big for it.
Oh, oh, okay. Big cast.
The
Yeah.
production is transferring to Barrington Stage in June.
Oh,
Uh, we begin performances June 16th, open June 20th, through July 3rd. Um, and then from there, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
wow. So is this must be you have 140 seats and it's bigger than that. This must be kind of not an epic, but what
I
makes it
mean,
so big?
Miami New Drama, I believe, is 420 seats, and Barrington Stage is upwards of 500. So it's like a
It's yeah.
big
So what
it's
does
a big
it tell
show.
us about? Because I hear that word, the title of your play, and I get scared. I'm thinking, oh, what is this going to be? Is it because everybody? It's become a fucking dirty word in America, at least on liberal lips, or most of them. What is the Zionists about? And I'm hoping it's relatively pro-Israel. Go.
Uh, Zionist is about a an affluent Jewish family who have really struggled in the wake of October 7th. And they gather for a fragile family reunion at a luxury resort in the Turks and Caicos. And then a hurricane descends on their bungalow, um, and then it ignites the storm within. And they hash it all out, and it's a lot of fun. It's very intense. And Yeah, it's
You're being a little cagey there. I mean, all right, but
well,
uh,
I think it's important to let the play also speak for itself because I don't want to um yeah, I one of the reason I wrote the play to begin with was, again, I lived in Israel for a decade,
yeah.
so this is a country I know, these are people I know. Um and then, immediately after October 7th, I was very involved very briefly in the whole social media of it all until I realized like social media is not a conversation, it's a performance, and this is not where anybody should go to make sense of or discuss complicated, complex histories. And I lost friends, I lost colleagues, and
They were at the concert. They were on the beach, or later
no, no,
in.
no, no. I don't mean people dead. I
Oh, I'm
mean,
sorry. You meant you lost in
yes.
the arguing
I
about
lost
Israel.
friends, I lost
Yeah, yeah.
colleagues, and ultimately it was, the artistic spaces that I helped build, and was a part of no longer included me. And I just felt very confused, very lonely, very frustrated, and finally realized like, oh, this is what can do with this. I can put it all into play. The beautiful thing about being a playwright is that, I get to fully embrace the notion that many things can be true at once, and I can put all different facts and opinions into the mouths of different characters and let them all be true.
Well, did you see by any chance a couple of years ago a play on Broadway? And it was off Broadway first, I think, called "A Prayer for the French Republic."
I missed it, unfortunately. It's
I,
funny. I had a real weird resistance to Jewish plays and themes. I know it's weird. I just wasn't interested. So I missed that one. I missed Leopoldstadt. Um, and
that was the Tom Stoppard play about
Correct.
also about yeah.
And
By the way, there's a musical. I don't know if you know. It's about a milkman who lives in Russia, Poland, and he has a family. He's all daughters, and he has to marry them all off. And I don't know if you have you heard of this. I forget the name, but you might want to check that. If you don't know any
I'm,
others, you
I'm
might.
I'm very well familiar with Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, good, good, good.
I also saw it in Yiddish when they did it. The most recent
Yeah,
Broadway production was in Yiddish, and it was amazing.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then like for me, it's actually interesting because the Zionists is very much me coming out as a Jewish playwright in a way.
I'm going to
It
dance a little bit.
it was
Okay.
just never something I kind of felt like, you know, ironically enough, I was like, don't you think we're kind of past this? Like, do we really need to keep writing about like Jewish trauma? And and then here we are.
Oh, wait a minute.
So
You also wrote a film called Sabbath
I
Queen.
did not write the film.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You were what? How are you?
I'm just an executive producer on it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so it's a documentary. It follows Rabbi Amichai Lau Levi. It was filmed by Sandy Dabowski, who is known for his documentary Trembling Before God. But like I just want to be very clear. I was just executive producer on that. I didn't write it. It's also a documentary, so I couldn't
Yeah,
write
kind
it.
of, yeah.
But highly recommend people check it out.
It's called Sabbath Queen. It's
Have-
about a rabbi who is a married father, but also decides to become it's sort of the jazz singer updated to 2000. And for real, it's a
And
document.
he's also a drag queen.
And he's still doing this. This is
Correct. Yeah.
wow. All right, interesting at the Seder. Maybe not so much at Yom Kippur, but who knows? Could be. By the way, we're talking with Asher Gelman or Shmuel Asher Gelman, as I
Just call me Asher.
just Asher. Asher, who is the artistic director of Midnight Theatricals, and most importantly for the moment, is play The Zionists, A Family Storm, is playing at Miami New Drama from this week through early May. So you can watch Cats. And if you miss it there, then you go to Barrington Stage. Is that
Right.
Vermont or where the hell is that?
That's in the Berkshires.
Oh, Berkshire. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So go see that. So if you don't see it here, you can see it there. You can, and then of course you'll play other places. Can I ask you, what are the one or two greatest theatrical shows that you have ever seen in your life?
Um, I think the musical once really affected me. It's why I moved to New York to begin with. My husband and I, we were visiting my parents in DC, and we went to the Kennedy Center to go see the national tour of Once. And the play is it's a musical. The musical, it's really ultimately about like the sacrifices one must make to follow one's dreams. And I was living in a moment, I was experiencing a moment in Tel Aviv where I was feeling very frustrated by the fact that I felt like I kind of peaked professionally, and this was as far as I was going to go, like creating theater. And we saw the show. It was beautiful, and all the elements were just in such perfect concert with each other. And I I ended that musical just sobbing uncontrollably. And then we drove back to my parents' house that I grew up in silence, and then went up to my childhood bedroom, and my husband Matt and I both looked at each other. And said simultaneously, without any prior discussion throughout our entire at the time 7-year relationship, we just said we have to move. And then we spent the next 20 minutes saying, "Wait, I'm serious. Are you serious?" Okay. And then we established that we were going to move. Went downstairs, told my parents, and then 5 months later, we were living in New York.
Mazel McDay. It's a wonderful show, and you've seen the movie too. The movie is pretty friggin'
I've seen the movie. I've just seen the Broadway show.
Oh wow! All right, I don't want to hurt your memories because the movie is just as good and it came out for it. But yeah, Once is quite. So what's another? Did you have a childhood theatrical experience that stayed with you?
I mean, I like my childhood theatrical experience is less about seeing theater and more about doing theater. I was very involved in my in theater from a very young age. And so it was just always a part of my life. And I ended up double majoring in dance and theater. Most of my career in Israel was actually much more dance based, and then it wasn't until the last couple of years where I um, co-founded and then served as the first artistic director of an organization called The Stage, which is Tel Aviv's premier English language performing arts organization. It's wonderful. It's still around. People, Anglophiles in Tel Aviv should absolutely go check them out.
The stage, yeah.
But it became this thing where I felt like I wanted to do more, and I wanted to you know I wanted to test myself, and I think New York is very much a mirror. Um, it will show you who you are, whether or not you're ready to receive it. I know it's not for everyone. It's a very transitory city, But for me, it made a lot of sense. And I mean, look, the truth of the matter is I moved to New York, and then within a year and a half, I had a hit off Broadway show. So the proof is in the pudding.
And by the way, we're broadcasting from Maryland, where the producer of this program lives. You were in Chevy Chase for,
Was.
or he was Chevy Chase and you were not. But yeah, so any memories of Maryland or theater in Maryland or just life there?
I mean, it's my childhood. I lived there for 18 years. I loved living there. I think DC is it's kind of like the perfect training wheels city. Like it has everything you could ever want from a city, but you have to look for it, whereas like as it just it was a wonderful way to approach to approach getting to understand it like a city before like living somewhere like New York City, which is just it's very intense. It's a lot. And I'm greatly grateful that I had that experience. I mean, also Tel Aviv is, Tel Aviv is a city, it's a city that holds you, and I'm so grateful that I got to spend my 20s growing up in Tel Aviv, where, nobody lets you fall through the cracks in a way that I always consider New York to be 8 million cities that share the same geographical location. Um,
And by the
like,
way, would you mind? I mean, I do want to put this out there again, and it dovetails with some of the things I'm sure you're writing about in the Zionists. Of this idea of you're obviously an openly, outwardly gay person in these kinds of relationships, and that you lived in Israel, you were in Tel Aviv, which is considered one of the top cities for gay people to be in. Can you explain to me then how all these people who are defending these Khomeinis and these Arab crazy people and Sharia law that Israel is rather different. So, that's a place where people like you can be safe and happy and open and out, and none of these other countries can you do that. I mean, do you get blue in the face trying to explain that?
um, Not really, in that, like, of course, it's very frustrating to see people who, and it's mostly Americans, like, and this idea of like the American colonialism of thought, where Americans feel they can map what happens in America onto other places and very specifically without ever visiting or getting to know people. Again, like it was for me moving to Tel Aviv, and I'm a very well educated man, but I didn't know who any of like the international world leaders were until I moved out of America because we don't have international news. We only have national news, and it's only international news when it's something that directly affects America.
Yeah, well,
Um, so, zooming out, yes, it's frustrating. And I'll understand that like the frustrating part is how are these people not reacting the same way I am to the same information? But the truth is, they're not reacting to the same information. They're getting very different information. And like we don't have a shared reality. We don't have shared facts anymore. We used to have, you
hmm,
know, what we now consider legacy media, where we kind of all were getting the same information. But even like like looking at like my partner's feed on Instagram, like, and we are like very much politically aligned in every way. And his algorithm is just fundamentally different. He's getting different facts. He's getting different narratives. So when you zoom that all the way out, again, we're not sharing a reality anymore. We are all fully in our devices, and we are all in our very bespoke simulation where we see the world as it is presented to us, not as it is. So it kind of doesn't matter what the reality is as much as it matters what you're being shown.
well, I'm hoping, I'm guessing there's some of that in your play, The Zionists. Or if there isn't, that'll be your next, because it's just fascinating the way you describe it, and very true and very, very in the moment. So, or maybe, when you do this and then you start changing the play a little bit, you'll have more of that in there because it's just, so great talking to ASHER, or Asher Gelman, who is the author of The Zionists, A Family Storm. You can see that at Miami New Drama from April 9th through May 3rd. For tickets, please go to miaminewdrama.org. You can also find out more about our wonderful guest by going to Sasher Gelman, there's the S on this. There is the S on that. SasherGelman.com. Last question for you, because I know you have other meetings you have to go. But what is some advice now that you're running midnight theatricals that you would give to budding theatrical artistic directors?
I mean, it's the same advice I give to artists in general, which is really like find your people, find your community. You don't need to learn how to work with everyone. You just need to learn who you work well with. And hire slowly, fire quickly. No, seriously,
Yeah.
because like the truth is that like it's who you work with, it makes a real difference. These are the people you spend an enormous portion of your life around, and you want that to be an enjoyable experience. You want that to be good. And if you surround yourself with good people, you will have a better life. And I'd say that, for me, both in my professional life and also my personal life, I really work to create a challenge network. I'm not interested in like a support network in that way, because I think we've gotten it into our heads that support means agreeing all the time. And I think it we have become really we've become allergic to discomfort in our society. Now we have, safe spaces and trigger warnings to, and medications to kind of prevent us from having to feel any uncomfortable feelings or be in any uncomfortable spaces. And I think that doesn't help us. And that's what really inspired the Zionists is like, what happens when you can't leave the room, when you don't have the option to leave the room, where you have to have the conversation. Uh, I feel like we've forgotten how to have discourse. Right now, we're in this period where, we used to be that our identities were one thing and our opinions were another. But now, especially because of the language of social media, our identities and our opinions have merged into one thing. So now, when somebody challenges our opinions, we experience it as an attack on our person. And I would love to bring us back to a place, and this is ultimately kind of the message of the play itself, in which like we can have difficult conversations, we can live in discomfort. That discomfort is not a bug, but a feature of relationships. And being able to sit in rooms with people who fundamentally disagree with you and stay in the room and find the things that bring you together rather than focus on the things that tear you apart. This idea of like, well, if we just win this one election, like then we'll be good. Like it's not about that. It's the us versus the them. That's the thing that's killing us. It is about like reaching across the aisle, whatever that aisle may be, and gleaning understanding, like, why do you feel this way? Like, what is, what are the things we can agree on? Like, where do our values meet? And where do they diverge? And ultimately, that is what I think we're really missing in society, and that is what really ultimately the Zionists is about. Yes, it focuses on this specific family and these specific issues, but it's also, I mean, again, its specificity makes it universal. We are still living through this moment where a lot of artists feel the need um, to make their art about everyone. So everybody is represented in some way, shape, or form. All the boxes are ticked. And then when we experience that piece of art that's supposed to be inclusive of everyone, right? And then we don't see ourselves represented in it, we lean out because we're like, well, this thing that was supposed to be about everyone wasn't about me, so where the fuck am I? When you tell a specific story, when you say, hey, this is about these people, it's not about you, then you are forced to find another way in.
I am so wonderfully happy that Asher Gelman has found his way into the neighborhood today. If you weren't a playwright, you should be a public speaker and maybe a therapist, because you just have a marvelous way of talking about the world and seeing the world deeply and intelligently. It's just been wonderful conversing with you, and I mean this. So Asher and everybody, go see his play, The Zionists, at Miami New Drama and at Barrington Stage. Asher, success with the play. I mean, I'm hoping I'm not disappointed. I hope it doesn't turn out to be that, yes, they're having this conversation and then they start bashing Israel. Then I will be mad. But if it isn't that, then huge success with that, and all you do at your New York home in Chelsea of midnight theatricals, and health and goodness to you and everyone that you know and love. Shalom to you.
Shalom to you. Have a great one. Thank you for having me.